All right, you guys are getting your corrections ready, but no one has turned them in yet. Just hold on to them for just a second. I want you guys to go to the back of your spirals.
Where's the staple?
It's on my, should be on my desk now.
Test on top.
Corrections on top. I want to see the corrections first. All right, back of your spiral. Hopefully this is an easier-ish type problem from the homework. There were some harder ones. We'll talk about logistics in just a second. But go ahead and go to the back of your spirals. I want you guys to do this example. You don't even have to write necessarily all the notes. You don't necessarily have to write in all the notes, but I want you to get the example back there. What section is this? Section 1.10, the longest chapter in this book. It was intense. But section 1.10. Section 1.10 example. You guys are allowed to discuss in your groups. Hopefully this was an easier-ish one from Friday. But you have to read, translate. What's the model? What's the general equation you're going to use? If it says varies directly, you can look in your notes. Plug and chug what you know and solve for what you don't. Ready, set, and? We haven't started yet. Varies directly. What does that mean? What model are we using? Y equals kx. Good. If it said inverse, it'd be y equals k over x. But it says y equals kx. So we start with that general model and say, hey, we're using this one. Now, how do we go about solving? We plug in what we know. And what do we know?
We know that x equals 4, and we know that y is 8 pi.
Y is 8, right? And how do we solve? Forgive 8.
8 pi.
Divide, so therefore k is equal to? Divide by 4, divide by 4, k is equal to?
2 pi. 2 pi. It's 8 pi.
I heard the 2 pi, but I was like, that doesn't follow. Now what?
2 pi.
Well,
We're done, right?
No, you're not.
you could
And have a decimal and then be no. Question. Thank you. When it said solve the model, did it mean just find k? No, it said find k and then write the finished model for the equation, right? Okay. Now, we're going to possibly come back to our spirals in a little bit with the homework and what you were able to do. But I actually, since a lot of you got out your composition books, to check on varies directly, let's get back in our composition books. I actually want to do 2 more examples. It could have been where you got stuck over the weekend when you were trying to do your 1.10 homework. Now maybe some of you didn't get stuck here. Maybe you went to Calc Chat and checked out a equivalent or a similar problem that's an odd. But I still want to discuss 2 more. One funny one with points. What's going on there? And then one that had a lot going on. So let's start with this one. You guys did have at least one like this in homework, so help me out. How do you know? My poor phone is dying. How do you know whether these points, which are a part of one of these models, goes with direct variation or inverse variation? Who can explain? Someone who's able to figure it out.
I see a pattern.
What pattern do you see?
For the y's, it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It goes by 2s.
The y's are going how by 2s? Up or down? Up by 2s, right? As the x's are doing what?
Up by 5.
So wait a minute. As one goes up, the other goes up? Huh. Which equation is describing as one comes up, the other goes up? Which one?
That's direct variation.
Why direct variation? In Algebra 1, you probably learned something like as one goes up, the other goes up. That was a way of recognizing direct variation. But let's see why. Ready? If x is 5 y is 2. If x is 10, well, if this grows, what else is going to grow? The other side. Only this one says, hey, plug in 5, plug in 10, plug in 15, and the y should be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. What's inverse variation going to result in when I have k over x? Plug in 5, something over 5. Plug in 10, something over 10. Plug in 15. Uh-oh, what happens when your denominator gets bigger? Your fraction gets smaller, right? Think of a pizza cut in fifths and how big that size would be. It's like a Costco pizza. They cut it in tenths. Oh, 15ths? Oh, man. Right? Those slices are getting tiny. Cost effective, but tiny. So, coming back. We're going to choose just because we see as x's grow, y's grow. Direct variation. Now, once we choose a model, how do we solve that model? Plug it in. Which one? There are 5. Some of you would stress over that, but all you have to do is choose one that you want to use. And I'm lazy, so I'm going to choose the first one. Sound good? So then we go ahead and plug in. Y is 2. K, I don't know. X is 10. No. What is X with 2? 5. It's a rough Monday. It's okay, we'll get there. What does K equal? Nice.
Hey, it's not done.
Exactly. But do we have our K? Yes. Now how do we write our model? And what if they asked us to use our model to solve for something else? Oh, no big deal. Plug in whatever they want. Either they give us an X, we plug in, find a Y, or they give us a Y, and we plug in and find an X. Either way. We're good to go. Okay? One more. Let's go to the interest problem. Let's go to the interest problem. There we go. Simple interest, which I think we did one of these really fast in the notes. And hopefully some of you guys, if we went too fast on Friday, you went online, you slowed me down, and you got the notes you needed. But simple interest, I think we called him I, right? Simple interest, wait a minute. This isn't a very nice statement. What do you think I did if I was trying to model doing homework and writing directions and problems, but not wanting to write a whole paragraph? Made it shorter, right? I made it shorter. Anyway, simple interest, directly proportional. You could have been saying directly prop with a little period and be like, whatever, it's an abbreviation. Simple interest is directly proportional to investment. We can't use I twice. We're going to use P. Does anybody remember why I use P for investment? I equals PRT. Simple interest equals something times rate times time. Oh, no. Who's Mr. Halliday?
Who's Mr.
Principal?
Principal, thank you.
Oh,
Different
okay.
meaning, but anyway. Let's stop there. What did they give us? Hold on, what's our model? Always start with the model. Okay? What's the model? Interest equals K times P for principal. Now what are we going to do? Oh, you guys should know by now. Plug in what you know, right? So we know the investment is $6,500. Ooh. Investment. Who is he again? Be careful. Make sure you keep your variables straight, right? That's one place we can mess up. Finding the model is place number 1. Plugging it in correctly is place number 2. We have 211.25 equals K times 6,500. Mental math. K equals. Just kidding. This is definitely a calculator problem. Who has a calculator close? Come on. Some of you don't go anywhere without it.
I can do it.
Come on.
211.2. No, that's wrong.
You better be dividing.
0.0325.
Back them up.
Oh, 6,500.
3.25%.
0.0325.
Did you do it the correct way? Divide 6,500 over?
Yes.
Why is it so small? What does K stand for? It's a percent. Don't you guys remember rates and loans and all that craziness? Interest is a percent. Right? Not too bad. Not as good as it used to be. But not so bad.
Yeah, that it is. Oh, today.
Savings account's 0.00000.
You're losing more money from inflation today.
That's probably true. Hence why you grow up and then you put money in like places where it won't let you take it out, but you'll get better interest rates. Okay. Personal finance. So, but we're not done technically, right? How did we finish? I equals, you could do 3.25%. I'm going to keep my decimal. Just because it's easier to plug that into a calculator if we needed to. Now question, was all of homework that easy?
No.
No. But hopefully did that at least give you a guide as to where to go with homework?
Yes.
Hopefully. Kiddos, let's really quickly time out and talk about logistics real fast. Look on the blackboard. When were we supposed to have our test on 1-1 to 110? Tomorrow. However, tonight's homework is keep working on the review and finish homework number 10, which was technically due today. What do you think I might have done? Moved it to Wednesday instead of tomorrow. Just so Mr. Che's classes and our classes are on the same page. I think we could have maybe done it, but then hopefully now we'll be extra prepared for the test on Wednesday. When is the end of the grading period? I'm going to work real hard. Technically, I have until next Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, to get your grades fully updated. Now, what's going in your grades that's not there currently? Your quests. Now, how many of you, don't raise a hand, think inside, are like, oh, that's not really the score I want in my grade? Okay, what did you guys hopefully work hard on having ready for today? Test corrections. Quest corrections, technically. But yes, your corrections. What were you supposed to do with your corrections? Figure out what went wrong and do what? Figure out how to do it correctly and be able to explain how to do it correctly. Either explain your error, what went wrong, or explain your lapse in thinking as to how to do it right. You can either explain how to do it wrong, or how or why you did it wrong, or how to do it right. What am I talking about? That last column on your correction sheet, right? Okay. Thinking towards the end of the grading period on Friday. Thinking towards a test that we're going to take an extra day to be extra super prepared for on Wednesday, that hopefully scores will be higher and better. A couple notes before you turn those corrections in. Number one, I'm going to allow those corrections if you were able to take a problem you got wrong and figure out and show me how to think through and do it perfectly right, I'm going to give you half credit back on your quest score. Now, this is an assignment. It's a 10 out of 10. It's a quest correction, and every test you're going to have a correction that's going to count as a score in your portfolio category. However, I am also on this quest, because it was the beginning of the year, you guys were getting used to me, I was getting used to you. Some mistakes were silly ones that you really wish you hadn't made when you were doing your corrections. I'm going to give you half points back before putting that score on RunWeb if you were able to what? Do your corrections perfectly right. Now, first of all, how many points were the quests out of? 50. It was a half test, remember? And so if you want to see how high your score could get if your corrections are perfect, subtract from 50, cut in half, and then add. Or I guess you could also average your score with 50. Hey, midpoint formula. What? Anyway. And that could also give you the same thing as to how high you could get. Now, just a few of you might be like, I didn't work on them that carefully. I will still let you turn them in tomorrow. I had a few people with excuses over the weekend. That's one thing. Okay, fine. I'm going to take it from anyone tomorrow who wants to keep it and do maybe your corrections a little bit more carefully than you did the first time. Maybe meeting with an honors pre-calc kid and being like, hey, you do tutoring hours anyway. Do you know they have to do that? They have to tutor someone for 4 hours this semester. So be like, hey, you need to do your tutoring hours. Come help me. Okay, that's totally fine. To that end, I do have a calculus kid in period 6 who definitely remembers pre-cal, who's like, I could really use some tutoring hours. Can you find a pre-cal kid who wants some help? No, elite, actually. But if someone wants to come in and be like, hey, I'll let him help me and he can get his tutoring hours done, he's going to be here today after school. So if you want to come in, he can help you with corrections as well. I can help you with corrections. If you want to hold on to them one day more, in just a second, I'm going to have you put them away. Everybody else, I'm going to have you turn them in. That's number one. One thing you need to think about with those corrections. Number 2. Those corrections, that quest was on what sections? 1-1 to 1-5, half the chapter. What's the quest on Wednesday? Ooh. So some of those questions might reappear. If I were you, I would quickly open your composition book. Actually, it should already be open. We're at the end of section 1.10. We're actually going to go over a few things about the test. I would go ahead and take a second before anyone turns it in and write down a few things like things to study for Wednesday from 1-1 to 1-5. Sound good? Take a couple seconds. You can talk about it in your groups if you want to hash some things out. I would write down, now, you guys wrote down those missed concepts. That's the big idea of every problem. Go through and check what concepts I tested on that quested, I know, right? And you might want to write those down to be particularly careful to study. Because we are going to review some stuff on 1-6 to 1-10. We're not really going to go back to 1-1 to 1-5. But that's what these quest corrections are for, to have you start studying. So write down any topics that you're like, ooh, that difference quotient, yeah, might need to study that. Make a quick note at the end of chapter 1 in your notes. Quick things that you should study. Factoring, you better practice that. Tell yourself what to do. Help yourself out. Couple more seconds. We'll do that tomorrow. If you guys want, may I quickly go back to 1-1 to 1-5? There was a page where I quickly summarized the big ideas for the quest. Oh, you might just want to write these down. But I would also look at your quest and star the ones that you're like, yeah, you didn't do so hot the first time. Encourage yourself, challenge yourself, and be like, you got to get this better by Wednesday. Because these problems are, in some ways, maybe the easier ones that you want to really, really, really have down. So that when some of the harder ones come from chapter 1, the second half, they won't hurt as much because you'll at least have these ones to work on. I'm just saying, these are the only types of problems that could possibly come up or occur from your quest. But I am saying these are definitely guaranteed to be on there. There might be another one or two. I'm not saying exclusively. And yes, really quickly, guys, this is random, but I've already had one calculator completely go missing this year. Can't be found anywhere. It's a nice one. Someone already had to buy a new one. It happened like 5, 6, 10, 15 times last year. These are expensive. Some random person left one in the hallway. No name, no marking, no sticker.
That's mine.
Ricky, I saw it this
How
morning.
can you tell me it's yours? Did you write anything on it?
Mine.
Scratch anything on it?
I believe
What kind of batteries do you
Ricky.
have?
Duracell, AAA.
Alright, he was lucky. Maybe it's someone else's. I don't know.
I dropped it.
What do you need to do to your calculators to make sure we can all tell whose they are? Put a name, put a sticker, put an identifying, I don't even know what. Get a label maker, put it on. I don't care, something. Okay? Nice. Hope I can't be scratched off.
I know mine.
Just say it. We're a Christian school, doesn't mean we always act as a student body as we try to.
Like you couldn't get it all right. I'm not getting lost in the store. There's a store.
Yeah.
Like, plus I have, it's distinguishing because I scribbled it in with pencil in those parts and they're not going to.
Alright, if you are ready to pass in your quest corrections, if you're ready to pass in your quest corrections, don't even worry about doing it by groups, just pass them straight back, straight over, straight in. If you're keeping them to make them better, I will collect them again tomorrow. If you're ready, you're done, you've written down what you need to study from them, pass them back, straight back. People in the back, once you get them all from your row, pass them over this way. Ricky's going to get them all. And real quick, eyes back on me. It took last year's class all year, and even then it was rough. So no names, Sudoku. There you go, 2 no names, Sudokus. There is a manila folder. Technically, you guys, we haven't used it a lot this year, but this is your turn-in tray, the very top one. This is calculus. That's not you. This is you guys. This manila folder says corrections. What do you think is supposed to go inside? Corrections. Homework? No. Random handout assignments? No. What's the only thing to go in there? Corrections. Are corrections supposed to go on top?
No.
No. Where are they supposed to go?
Inside of the.
I still have calculus kids that have had me for 3 years do it wrong. So, please. 3, maybe. That was more last year than this year. Just make sure if you ever turn in corrections that you're something put them in. Who knew it was so hard? Alright. For the rest of today, since we are taking, where am I going? Here we are. Since we are taking an extra day, here's what I want to use the rest of today for. Okay? If we were reviewing today, here's what we would do. We start doing practice problems. Boom, 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 boom. Trying to point out particular mistakes that could occur, etc., etc., etc. We go over the evens of section 110. But instead, I'm going to go ahead and take a time out from my presenting stuff to you and have you guys work on your own for a bit. On what? You could either work on finishing section 110, asking people in your group advice, questions, etc., and that all of you can work with friends, etc., after school on your pre-cal homework. So either finishing section 1.10 and you have your friends, your group. First of all, you have your group, maybe you have some other friends in the class, and then you have myself. Right now that you can ask questions. 2, to try to finish up 110. We're going to check those evens tomorrow. What else could you work on? Look at the bottom. Test review. There is a test review. It is not a homework number, but it is required in your spiral for your homework check on Wednesday. You're going to turn in your notes and your spirals on test day on Wednesday. Okay? These test review problems, what do you guys notice? It doesn't start until, well, that's a little extreme. Why am I not starting until 69? What section starts around 69? 1.6. I'm not going to give you tons of problems from 1.1 to 1.5 because what did you just do this weekend and some of you are still doing tonight? Quest corrections, the short and sweet version of what I thought was most important from those sections. Now, how many problems, look at that, how many problems are there in the test review? At least 100. So, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 problems to do from 1.6 to 1.10. Some of you, though, need to practice more than that. I'm just not going to require you to practice more than that. How can you practice more than that? Choose some odds from 1.1 to 1.5. Choose some more odds from 1.6 to 1.10 beyond the ones that I'm assigning. Do those first, but then practice some more. For some of you guys for whom the quest didn't go so well, you need to practice more. And you need to practice doing it right more. And that's why I'm saying check the odds or do the odds, because that way you can have Calc Chat and you can have back the book to help you out. Just by practicing more, that doesn't guarantee you a much higher grade. However, that does at least give you more time with the content. And hopefully by getting to a problem and then having to think through how to solve it, maybe going back to your notes and reviewing how to solve it in similar problems, hopefully all of that put together will help. Are there some things we need to have memorized for the test on Wednesday? Yes, and we'll go over those some more tomorrow. But by practicing, hopefully you're already figuring out and reviewing and remembering things like translation, shifts, reflections, the parent functions and their graphs, composition, what does F little o hollow o g, F of g mean? Plug it in, and you have to practice that to get it right. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. We have about 12 minutes. I have a few spare pre-calc books. If you go and borrow one, I better get it back before you leave. Some people have books already in your groups. Maybe you can share with someone next to you. Maybe just get one book for each pair if you guys are going this way. If you want to go get a book, go ahead and get it now. Open your spirals. Work on either 110 or your review. Yeah. Maybe else need to go running with your spiral? Bring it every day. Oh, David. All right, this is your time to work. Tomorrow's our time to polish things off and answer questions.